President Rashida Jones had separated this network from that decision, indicating that Ronna McDaniel would not appear on our air. By Sunday morning, following her first paid appearance on NBC's Meet the Press, my colleague Chuck Todd went full William McAvoy.
Is she speaking for herself, or is she speaking on behalf of who's paying her? Once at the RNC, she did say that, hey, I'm speaking for the party. I get that. That's part of the job. So what about here? When NBC made the decision to give her NBC News' credibility, you got to ask yourself, what does she bring NBC News? And when we make deals like this, and I've been at this company a long time, you're doing it for access. Access to audience. Sometimes it's access to an individual. And we can have a journalistic ethics debate about that. And I'm willing to have that debate. So I do think, unfortunately, this interview is always going to be looked through the prism of who is she speaking for.
My colleagues Joe Scarborough, Mika Brzezinski also weighed in this morning.
We weren't asked our opinion of the hiring, but if we were, we would have strongly objected to it for several reasons, including, but not limited to, as lawyers might say, Ms. McDaniel's role in Donald Trump's fake elector scheme and her pressuring election officials to not certify election results while Donald Trump was on the phone.
To be clear, we believe NBC News should seek out conservative Republican voices to provide balance in their election coverage. But it should be conservative Republicans, not a person who used her position of power to be an anti-democracy election denier.
For our part here, we're going to cover this story as part of our ongoing series of conversations about American autocracy, asking the question or positing the theory that it could happen here. I'm going to read to you an excerpt from Timothy Snyder's On Tyranny. Tim is standing by to talk to us. This is from the first page of the first chapter of On Tyranny. Quote, most of the power of authoritarianism is freely given. In times like these, individuals think ahead about what a more repressive government will want and then offer themselves without being asked. A citizen who adapts in this way is teaching power what it can do, end quote. In this instance, NBC News, either wittingly or unwittingly, is teaching election deniers that what they can do stretches well beyond appearing on our air in interviews to peddle lies about the sanctity and integrity of our elections, which Ronna McDaniel did yesterday at Meet the Press.
Can you say, as you sit here today, did Joe Biden win the election fair and square?
He won. He's the legitimate president. Fair and square, he won. It's certified. It's done. But I do think, Kristen, I really to say something.
To say that. Why has it taken you until now to be able to say
I'm going to push back a little, because I do think it's fair to say there were problems in 2020. And to say that does not mean he's not the legitimate president.
There were no problems. But what we've also said to election deniers is not just they can do that on our airwaves, but that they can do that as one of us, as badge-carrying employees of NBC News, as paid contributors to our sacred airwaves. Joining us now, Yale University history professor, author of the aforementioned and quoted from best-selling book On Tyranny, 20 Lessons for the 20th Century, Timothy Snyder.